Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Ken White from IBMA. Welcome to Chattanooga. What an exciting program we got for you this afternoon. And we're going to kick it off with the multi-award winning vocalist and his band. Please make welcome Junior Sisk.
Howdy, folks. How y'all doing? I guess we better move along with the show. We got a special guest coming up here doing a keynote address. Here's an old White Rice in Santa Cruz #1 called A Picture in a Tear. You whisper my name, little darling, when the nights are cold and you're so blue. Are the tears that fall a reminder that you left me for somebody new? Would you ever come back in a memory? Do you think of our love that used to be? Has your heart gone from me forever? Or is my picture in the tear you cry for me? Do you listen? He's crying for love that's gone away. He hopes that the wind will take a message and she'll come back to him someday. Would you ever come back in a memory? Do you think of our love that used to be? Has your heart gone from me forever? Or is my picture in the tear you cry for me? Freight train, it's the one that she rode out of town. The whistle cuts through the nighttime like the blues that's really got me down. Would you ever come back in a memory? Do you think of our love that used to be? Has your heart gone from me forever? Or is my picture in the tear you cry for me? Tried to work it out and give our love a chance, but it'll never be the way it was before. We worked and we sacrificed to find our happiness, working hard ain't hardly working anymore. Working hard ain't hardly working anymore. Working overtime to hold on to the love we had before. Just clocked out and my badger waiting for me at the door. Working hard ain't hardly working anymore. If I knew that we make our love grow strong. There's the way I'd be walking out the door. But I'm tired of slaving every day and never gaining ground. Working hard ain't hardly working anymore. Working hard ain't hardly working anymore. Working overtime to hold on to the love we had before. I just walked out and my bags are waiting for me at the door. Working hard ain't hardly working anymore. Working hard ain't hardly working anymore. Working overtime to hold on to the love we had before. I just clocked out and my bags are waiting for me at the door. Working hard ain't hardly working anymore. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. We'll do tune for you right now. This here song come from David Stewart and Michael Stilwell from around the Wyoming area, and it done really well for us. It was demoed to me by the late great Darrell Singletary, one of the real true country music singers we had left, who left us way too early. We played with it, and I said, we got to do this song. I love it so much. And this is what we come up with. It's one called I Want to Be Where You Are. This family farm's where I was raised, but it ain't the same these days since you've gone. It don't feel like home. The sun don't set like it used to, and that old whippoorwill sure sounds blue. He misses you, but not like I do. I want to be where you are. I want to see what you see. I want to hold you close, whisper your name, breathe the air you breathe. I want to walk by your side, not just be in your heart. You can't be where I am. I want to be where you are.
The city life is killing me. Sure ain't what I thought it'd be. The lights on bright, but I miss Virginia nights. These endless fields of old concrete got more people than I've ever seen. Been gone too long. I just wanna go home.
I want to be where you are. I want to see what you see. I want to hold you close, whisper your name, breathe the air you breathe. I want to walk by your side, not just be in your heart. If you can't be where I am, I want to be where you are. I wanna hold you close, whisper your name, breathe the air you breathe. I wanna walk by your side, not just be in your heart. If you can't be where I am, I wanna be where you are. He drank whiskey for his liver, he smoked cigarettes for his lungs. He loved the women for his ego, he died around her at 21. He never worked down at the sawmill, he couldn't stand that bright sunshine. He lived 21 years in his life, it was 1,000 in his time. It was a night when the blues had hit him. He got mad as hell when I told him he never lived past 21. Well, if a man ever hit me harder, I don't know where or when. He picked me up off of the bar floor. He said, I'd like to be your friend. The other night overheard him talking to an old man at the bar. He said, oh daddy, I love you, I just don't like where you are. Tell mama to turn my light on and turn down my feather bed. I'll be 21 tomorrow, but tomorrow he was dead. There were 21 miles to the graveyard and 21 roses red. This is the story of a rounder who at 21 he was dead. He drank whiskey for his liver, he smoked cigarettes for his lungs. He loved the women for his ego, he died around her at 21. He died around her at 21. He died around her at 21. Over here on the mountain, been with me this year 12 years, I do believe, going on 13. He's my right-hand man. He's from Wirtz, Virginia, playing the instrument, singing any part we need him to sing, work on the bus and drive the bus. That's a big plus. That's Jonathan Dillon right here, folks. Over here on the 5-string banjo from Walnut Cove, North Carolina, he's another one who can play any instrument, sing any part we need him to sing. A big part of the Junior Sisk band. Would you please make welcome? That's Tony Mabe over there.
Thank you.
Back here on the upright bass from Oakboro, North Carolina, he was an original banjo player and come and try it out with us, and he can thump it and thump it right. He holds the rhythm down for the Junior Sisk band. Would you please show him some love? That's Kurt Love back here. The lovely lady to my left and your right, she's one of the best female vocalists in any genre of music today, in my opinion. She is my favorite. She also makes her home in Walnut Cove. Y'all still together, right? Walnut Cove, North Carolina. Yep.
You know, y'all, this is our 20th anniversary.
That's
We
right.
met at IBMA 20 years ago.
In Nashville in 2005.
Heatherberry Mabe, folks. You put those four together, they're my band, but they also have their own band, and I'd like to introduce them to you right now. Put them all together, they're called Red Camel Collective. Here you go.
Thank y'all so much. How's everybody doing out there? All right. I'm so glad that y'all made it safely here and glad that we did too. It is so good to see each and every one of you. We are so, so excited, and we have been so looking forward to this. And we have been playing a lot of festivals together. Junior has been so good to us to share the stage with us, and let us play a few tunes. So we're going to play a tune for you right now.
Hold on, I'm having earbud trouble.
Yeah, I just don't know what tune we're going to do yet, but we're going to do it. Roll on, Mississippi. All right. Wait just a second.
I better not tune into the microphone. Y'all don't want to hear no banjo tuning this week, do you?
You're going to hear it. All right, how about an old Charlie Pride number for you? This was our first single on Pine Castle Records. It's called Roll On, Mississippi. Walking along, whistling a song, barefoot and fancy free. Big river boat passing us by, headed for New Orleans. There she goes, disappearing around the bend. Roll on, Mississippi, you make me feel like a child again. Cool river breeze, like peppermint leaves. The taste of it takes me back. Chewing on a straw, torn overalls, can't hold the no straw hat in muddy river. Just like a long lost friend. Roll on, Mississippi, you make me feel like a child again. Roll on, Mississippi, big river roll. You're the childhood dream I grew up on. Roll on, Mississippi, carry me home. Now I can tell I've been away too long. Roll on, Mississippi, roll on. When the world's spinning round too fast for me, I need a place to dream. I come to your banks, I sit in your shade, and relive the memory. It's on you and old Huckleberry Finn. Roll on, Mississippi, you make me feel like a child again. Roll on, Mississippi, big river roll. You're the childhood dream I grew up on. Roll on, Mississippi.
Red Camel Collective, folks. How about them? I'm going to be turning the hat in here in the next year or so, and I'm glad to see I've had a good band to take over for me. Got a brand new CD on Turnberry Records. The first time I signed with them, we finished one project. We're going back in next month and start on the next one, and we'd like to try you one from our latest CD on Turnberry Records, and I think Keith has a limited supply of those CDs with him. And when that limited supply runs out, he can come to the bus and get the rest of the limited supply if he wants to. So I hope we can do it. We haven't done it a whole lot out in public, but well, also I'd like to make mention we have Bluegrass Royalty in here. I've been looking at him, but the lights are not hitting just exactly right. Is that Mr. Dole Lawson right there? Good gosh. I am scared now. We have a lot of Bluegrass Royalty in here, but nothing to that caliber right there, buddy, I'm telling you. And he's on the front row. Why don't you go back there and sit down there and get you a piece of cake and a cup of coffee or something? No, he's my hero. Boy, and he got so many folks started. The award-winning Country Gentleman Project is still one of my favorites of all time. But I just don't know what to say about you. You are my hero, brother. I love you. Anyway, we'll try it. It's one called Sweeter Than Tupelo Honey. Well, I remember Mama's chicken baking in her iron skillet and the smell of Daddy's old tobacco barn. Cutting cane to earn $1, running coon dogs through the hollow with the hickory wind following along. Hanging out late on the weekends, picking bluegrass with my old friends, singing songs about how mountain girls can love. Sunday morning tent revival, wear my white shirt and read my Bible. Now that's the kind of life I'm dreaming of. And it's a doggone shame today, it's fading fast away. That country kind of life I dearly love. And my rude way of raising are the memories I'm tasting. Sweeter than Tupelo honey on my tongue. Well, I remember Mama praying when I told her I ain't staying. I thought better things were waiting down the road, but all I found was broken dreams. Things weren't always like they seem. Sometimes a boy's gotta make it on his own. Now this job in city living turned sour as persimmons. Pretty soon we'll be back where I belong. And when I turn on to that old road, count the fence post to my old home, that's when I know I should have stayed there all along. And it's a doggone shame today, it's fading fast away. That country kind of life I dearly love. And my rude way of raising are the memories I'm tasting. Sweeter than Tupelo honey on my tongue. Sweeter than Tupelo honey on my tongue. We had another one we wanted to do, but we need to move along with the program and get Billy Strings out here to do his keynote address. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming out and supporting bluegrass music this weekend and all week long. And thanks to IBMA and big thanks to Turnberry Records for putting a big part of this whole thing on this weekend. All I can say is the next time you go to a bluegrass event and you find you don't have enough room in your vehicle, load your wagon. My grandpa had a saying that I got from him, no doubt. One day he had me loading hay till I was plumb wore out. I said, if I load any more, this mule be zigzagging. Said, don't worry about the mule, now you just load the wagon. Don't you worry about the mule, now you just load the wagon. Piling on till you can't see, them old springs are sagging. I ain't seen a load we couldn't pull, and I ain't bragging. Don't you worry about the mule, now you just load the wagon. I married me a country girl and I knew I'd found a winner. Told her to fix a couple chickens and a ham for dinner. She said, if you eat all that much, you'll bend over gagging. Said, don't worry about the mule, now you just load the wagon. Don't you worry about the mule, now you just load the wagon. Pile it on till you can't see, them old springs are sagging. I ain't seen a load we couldn't pull, and I ain't bragging. Don't you worry about the mule, now you just load the wagon. She asked if I want children, I said 8 or 10. But then we'd better soon get started, she said with a grin. But feeding all that bunch is gonna keep your butt a-dragging. Said don't worry about the mule, now you just load the wagon. Don't you worry about the mule, now you just load the wagon. Piling on till you can't see, them old springs are sagging. I ain't seen a load we couldn't pull, and I ain't bragging. Don't you worry about the mule, now you just load the wagon. Thank you, folks. Good evening. God bless you. Thank you all so much. I'm honored to say we have a special guest that's going to come up here and do one song with us. Maybe not. He's a busy man.
I hear his guitar.
If you hear his guitar, he's close. He's getting ready to do your keynote address. The great Billy Strings, folks. I checked in with his manager the other night, and I asked him would he mind sitting in. He said, I'll hop up there and do one with you. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, anything by the Stanley Brothers. If I don't remember it, I'll learn it. And I seen him in Charlottesville a while back, and he did this great Stanley Brother tune, one called Darling, Think of What You Done. Heart to heart. like the flowers need the dew. Loving you has been my life, but I can't believe we're really through. Is it true that I've lost you? Am I not the only one? After all this pain and sorrow, darling, think of what you've done. I'll go back to old Virginia, where the mountains meet the skies, and those hills I learned to love you. Let me stay there till I die. Is it true that I've lost you? Am I not the only one? After all this pain and sorrow, darling, think of what you've done. Is it true that I've lost you? Am I not the only one? After all this pain and sorrow, darling, think of what you've done. Darling, think of what you've done. Thank you, Junior. Thank you.
Turnberry recording artist, Junior Sisk, and the Junior Sisk Band. Well, thank you guys so much. We just want to remind you guys that today's keynote is sponsored by Turnberry Records. So stop in the exhibition hall and shake and howdy with them and thank them for putting this on. 2 years ago, we started the search for a new home, and well, we finally found one. And a couple of folks that are responsible for bringing us here, I'm going to let them say a few words of welcome. Please first make welcome the President and CEO of Chattanooga Tourism, Mr. Barry White.
Thank you, Ken. Yeah, my name's Barry White, and I usually write my own comments, but my team wanted to use AI and ChatGPT and that kind of thing, so they put some prompts in, and I'm going to give it a shot. Welcome to Chattanooga, baby. We're thrilled to have you here, and the harmony just feels right. Now, we don't just see this as a one-time affair. Oh, no, sugar. We hope this is just the beginning of a beautiful, lasting relationship, and we believe that deep down, IBMA and our community are a perfect fit, like a song that was waiting to be played. So lean back, open your heart, and let Chattanooga groove with you. Because here, baby, you're not just visiting your heart. I can't do that. On behalf of the Chattanooga Tourism Company, we're thrilled to have IBMA and World of Bluegrass here. This week is about music, but it's also about connection between artists and audience, between tradition and innovation, and between IBMA and Chattanooga. We're grateful to IBMA's leadership and to Ken and others for allowing us to host this. We're privileged, and it's an honor for us. As I mentioned yesterday at a media conference, in Chattanooga, we love our city, and we love to share it. So much so that Condé Nast Travelers voted us the friendliest city in the U.S. Thank you. So as you're experiencing Chattanooga for the first, many of you are experiencing, I think, for the first time, right? First time here? Fantastic. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say this, but if you have a little bit of time, we'd like you to get out into nature, around town, into our community. I know you'll love what you see, but most importantly, you'll love the people you meet and the memories you make. So welcome to Chattanooga. Enjoy and have a great week. Thank you.
And please welcome the Mayor of Chattanooga, Tim Kelly.
Well, thank y'all. I'll keep it brief. I want to hear what Billy has to say. I'm sure y'all do too. But as mayor, I just want to thank you all for being here. As Barry said, that's a tough act to follow. It's quite an honor to have Barry White here with us tonight. But look, this is the friendliest city in America. It's great to be recognized for that. So we're a sales tax driven state. So I want y'all to get out there and meet some people and have some fun. Look, this is an intimidating crowd for me because I grew up in a bluegrass family, and the people that my family most admired were you guys. I had a mandolin thrust in my hand as a child, and I was a failure in that respect. I became a drummer, and they never forgave me for that. But listen, it is truly an honor for y'all to be here, and I think you're going to be here for a few years, and if I have anything to do with it, you'll be here forever and ever. I'm glad you outgrew Nashville. Chattanooga is you will find a wonderful and fascinating musical city in its own right. It is really where the upland South meets the lowland South. And so you got all kinds of interesting musical cultures and heritages that come together here, up to and including a big bluegrass contingent, which I'm sure will be out there amongst y'all through the course of the week. So again, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it back over to Ken. Thank you.
I will try to keep my remarks brief too, but there's a whole team of people that have worked really hard for a long time to make this possible, and I couldn't go without thanking IBMA staff, Liz, Haley, Becky, Amy Beth, Amy Sue, our extended team, Jill. If you see them, give them a big sloppy kiss this week because they've done a lot of the heavy lifting. Chattanooga was just a holler over. Who knew, right? Welcome. I would like to say when I first took this job, I was like, man, I'm a big fan of the podcast Toy Heart that Bluegrass Situation put together. And when I heard Tom Power interviewing the legends of Bluegrass, I'm like, I've got to figure out a way to work with that guy. And so today is really a culmination of that because in my mind, I'm like, who has he not interviewed? Other than Doyle Lawson. Maybe season 3, that's all I'm saying, is our next guest. Our speaker today, I consider a generational talent. It seems like every 20 years or so, there's this watershed moment where bluegrass is in the center of popular culture. And today, it's because of the work of this man. And so I'd like to bring him out for a few remarks. Would you please make welcome Billy Strings?
All right. Howdy, folks. I'm Billy Strings, your keynote speaker for the 2025 International Bluegrass Music Association Award Show Ceremony, Conference, and Ritual. How you guys doing this afternoon? You doing good? All right. It's an honor to stand up here
and be part of this incredible musical community. And I want to take a few moments to just talk at you and pretend like I know what the hell I'm talking about. And I could just confess to you all right now that I definitely, absolutely, positively, unquestionably do not. In fact, I'm not sure why I'm here or how I ended up on this stage. I think somebody overestimated my ability to think. I definitely overestimated my ability to read, so. But either way, when I figured out I was going to have to give this speech, I knew I had to write something down. I got a really good memory. It's just kind of short. And, but it's great to be at IBMA here in beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I missed the last few years back in Raleigh, but only because I've been out on the dusty old trail, spreading the good word of the bluegrass gospel as far and as wide as I can. The last several years has been quite a whirlwind for me, and I never imagined the incredible places this music would take me and the lessons I'd learn and the people that I'd meet along the way. As far back as my memory goes, bluegrass music has been one of the main guiding forces that shaped me into the man that I am today. Growing up immersed in this music has been one of the best experiences of my entire life. As a child, I witnessed all the joy that a Martin guitar could bring when it's in the right hands and the B strings in tune. I saw the smiles on the jolly faces all around the table as my father played in the kitchen of our little trailer up there in Michigan, or next to a campfire somewhere along the Stony Creek, singing songs he learned from legends like Doc and Merle, Lester and Earl, Stanley Brothers, Jimmy Martin, Larry Sparks, and the Osborne Brothers till his face was beet red. His music brought people together, and I knew way back then that's what I wanted to do. My first guitar was a little plastic toy about this big, and it had buttons all down the fretboard, neon-colored buttons, and it was supposed to play tunes when you pressed them, but I never had batteries. Instead, my dad gave me a pick, and I scratched on the little plastic ridges that covered the sound hole there, and I would just scratch on that and got my right hand going, and eventually I graduated up into a little house brand guitar named Norma. We found at an antique store. And I remember when I turned the corner of that old store, the lights were shining down that guitar like heavenly rays from above, and I just threw a fit, and I needed to have it. And my dad took his last little $30 that he had to his name and spent it on that guitar, and we took it home, and he taught me G, C, and D, and he gave me a capo. And from then on, you know, after learning those chords, I could play Long Journey Home, and I could play Mountain Dew and Cripple Creek, and riding that midnight train, you know. And for the next few years, that's what I did. I played rhythm. My dad did all the fancy picking and singing, and that gave me a chance to just sit back and listen. And that was really foundational for my own musical upbringing. While I was sitting back there playing rhythm, I was hearing the vocal harmonies and studying subliminally how they work together. I noticed on tunes like Think of What You've Done, my dad's note would say the same, but my Uncle Brad, he would slide up to his to hit that high part. And that slide up to the note was the good stuff. That bend up to the note that gives you that greasy, bluesy feeling when the voices are just smashing against each other in midair. How they always followed each other, and there was just obviously some kind of secret formula or something to make this lonesome sound, but I didn't feel like it was something that could be taught. It was something I had to learn on my own, something in my soul. And, you know, my parents had a treasure trove of CDs and vinyls and tapes and stuff, and I checked those out growing up. My dad would record things like Austin City Limits and whatever was going on TNN. He had videos of Larry Sparks and Ralph Stanley and Doc and Merle, and Doc became my biggest hero. With his wavy silver hair and fingers effortlessly dancing up and down the fretboard like a frolicking feather in a gentle breeze. Another good VHS tape we had was a documentary about the history of bluegrass music called High Lonesome. It was narrated by the late, great Mac Wiseman, and it was filled with classic songs that seeped into my pores and got into my blood. I also recall one about Bill Monroe, and this film showed incredibly eerie footage of Bill walking through the dilapidated ruins of his childhood home. The house was barely standing, and it was a really sad scene, and it stuck with me throughout the years. I remember Bill talking about how he wrote on my way back to the old home when he pulled up to that old house and nobody was there. I'm on my way back to the old home. The road winds on up the hill, but there is no light in the window that shined long ago where I lived. Throughout my adolescence, I would experience my own hardships that contributed to my own melancholy, and I quickly learned that these scars and painful memories of childhood and lonesome thoughts of home are some of the main ingredients for bluegrass music. And the fortunate flip side of that is that I also learned how bluegrass music can be the only cure for those painful, everlasting memories. It can be a powerful medicine. That's probably why I never stopped playing. All through elementary school, high school, middle school, music was my best friend, my survival tactic, my coping mechanism, and it became my social currency, as it very much still is. Deep down, I've always been a bluegrass musician at heart, despite veering off into a few rock bands and heavy metal projects that didn't quite stick. I was instinctively guided back to my roots, and my electric guitar now collects dust. And I felt like what I was doing with the heavy metal bands, it was fun and everything, but it just didn't give me that deja vu that bluegrass does. It didn't give me that feeling that could make me laugh or cry or bring me back to my childhood before I knew anything dirty about the earth. I realized that bluegrass is where my heart and soul is, and from that point, I decided to go back to it, and here I have stayed. As time goes on, I realize that I have a duty here to play these songs for the next generation. We got to keep playing Whiskey Before Breakfast and Salt Creek so these young'uns can learn them and pass them on. I do write my own songs, many of which aren't strictly bluegrass, but I always include traditional bluegrass tunes in my shows. I've been very fortunate to attract a diverse audience, many of which come from backgrounds outside of bluegrass altogether. My hope is that some kid comes to one of my shows somewhere and gets inspired to pick up the guitar or banjo and goes home to Google Tony Rice or Earl Scruggs. I'll never forget my first time hearing live bluegrass on a band. It was at Charlotte Bluegrass Festival up in Michigan. I was probably 4 years old, and there was a bunch of them there, Ralph and Jim and Jesse and Sparks, and I can't remember who exactly was on stage, but I know when I saw these guys in their big suits and hats, gold-plated banjos stepping up to a 57, it was the first time I had heard three-part harmonies coming out of speakers like this. I had only heard it around the campfire next to the creek or on my back porch. Never seen these guys with their suits. Never heard that banjo coming through the speakers like that, and it changed my whole world. It was like when a little kid sees a fire truck or a police car and decides he wants to be a fireman or a police officer. I'd found my calling. And 28 years later, here I am. I'm still trying to do my best, and you know, I've never had to give a speech like this, and when I got asked to do it, of course I agreed. It's my honor to be here this week at IBMA, but I didn't really know what I was going to say. And then right after that, Junior Sisk hit me up and asked me if I wanted to sing a song. And that's when I realized kind of what I wanted to touch on a little bit here today is that's the spirit. He's not afraid to have long hair up there with him. I'm going to try to mix up the camo and the tie-dye a little bit, you know what I mean? And stir up the Nag Champa with the roll tide. Over the last decade or more, I've played a lot of shows and I've met a lot of folks, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this community and to be welcome to speak here today. But it hasn't always been this way. I remember early in my career being boxed out of many jams. I'd show up to a bluegrass festival so eager to pick with some good musicians, only to be met with a bit of resistance. I'm not sure if it's because I smelled like weed or cussed or had tattoos. I didn't feel like it was a skill thing because I felt like I could hang, but it just seemed like there was certain folks that just didn't like me. There was times when I went back to my tent and just almost in tears and just didn't, end up playing with anybody, and I just wanted to pick, and it was weird. You know, it became kind of clear to me that there was this side of the scene that I didn't belong to. And even though we were all into the same music, there was this invisible divide. I felt like if we could just sit down and talk about Bill Monroe or sing the first Whippoorwill together, that these folks might realize we got more in common than they think. These experiences taught me how bad this kind of exclusion can be for the entire scene. To me, bluegrass is beautiful because of its diversity of sounds and influences. Bill took the flavors of Irish and Scottish fiddle tunes and old-time Appalachian music and lonesome Southern blues and the Western strumming of the cowboy's guitar and the flurry of jazz and the transcendent spiritual vocal of the harmonies of the church, and he mashed them up into this furious musical goulash with horsepower that matched the fast-paced and evolving world around him. We have to continue to welcome new voices whose unique perspectives and experience will enrich our collective artistic expression. We got to allow these fresh ideas to mingle with tradition. By keeping our minds open, we'll have a more welcoming environment and make way for the whole genre to evolve and thrive. This music has branches now. The trunk of the tree is firmly planted with roots reaching down deeper and stronger than ever. And the beautiful buds on Bill's bluegrass tree are blossoming and reaching up towards the big blue sky, twisting and turning in their own natural way. I don't know about you, but I'm glad there's flowers on this tree. I see no reason to pull out the shears. I'm proud when I see my bluegrass peers out on big stages doing big things, like when I see Joshua Rilko and Oliver Craven out on these huge stages, or the great Seth Taylor out there playing stadiums with Post Malone, or Brian Sutton being on every huge country recording that's coming out of Nashville. I think as bluegrassers, we can sometimes act like crabs in a bucket, trying to pull each other back down, scared to lose our polite, perfect little poster children to the evil clutches of success. But this music will inevitably grow, and we should continue to spread the word as far as we can, because this is a true American art form that deserves so much more from the general population than a simplistic portrayal of country living. It deserves more than a stereotypical image of a banjo player in overalls with a piece of wheat hanging out of his mouth. It is a richly nuanced and sophisticated genre that demands incredible skill and artistry from its musicians and has a strong commitment to musical excellence and deep cultural roots. It's the thread that weaves us all together, regardless of where we come from or how we play. It's about family and friends. It's about community. It's about tradition. I hope that we can all embrace the new artists coming into the fold and to make space for folks that are different. Together, we can foster a rich tapestry of talent that continues to honor our roots while welcoming innovation. I'm proud to be a bluegrasser, and I'm proud to do my part to carry the tradition forward and share these songs with the next generation. And for crying out loud, nominate Jared Walker for Mandolin Player of the Year. Thank you.
Well, what am I supposed to ask you about now? I got nothing left.
Let's go home then.
I'm in. I'll get a flight back to Toronto in an hour. Billy, I just want to say on behalf of everybody in this room, what a beautiful and powerful speech, and thank you so much for it.
Thank you. I'm super nervous to be here.
I am petrified to be here.
Me too.
I mean, you got to understand, man, I'm from like an island in the middle of the North Atlantic. I got into this music when I was like 13 or 14 years old. There was no one else to play with. There was no one else. There was one other person who was into bluegrass on the island, and it was Neil Rosenberg, the guy who wrote Bluegrass: A History, who ran Bean Blossom.
Wow.
And I was just home, not knowing anything about the Deftones or anything about Limp Bizkit, because I was on Napster pirating Jimmy Martin songs.
That's awesome.
And I have done all that from a distance, and now I'm in the belly of the beast.
Nice.
And I'm terrified with you. So
Well,
thanks
welcome.
for being here. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. So, but it's been really beautiful to see what you've done to the music over the years. And,
To
and I-
it.
To the music. Against the music.
What have I done to it?
I want to fill in some of the blanks around some of the stories you told there. Can we start with is it the Charlotte Bluegrass Festival in 97? Jim and Jesse, Ralph Stanley, Larry Sparks you mentioned there. Can you tell the story of, like you went there and you thought it was the fair, and then you saw real bluegrass musicians and something kind of clicked?
I just remember when Bill Clinton was president, I just didn't understand why everybody was mad at the president for going to the fair. Well, he's the president. He can't go to the fair. Why is everybody?
I'm Canadian, man. I don't know any of this, you know.
He was having an affair.
Oh, I read about that.
So
We don't have those in Canada. So hold on, you went to Charlotte and you see bluegrass musicians, and what happens to you?
again, I was 4 years old, so my memory's a little hazy. I just remember how impactful it was seeing these big, tall bluegrassers walking through the room. And I knew the music. I had heard the music. My dad played it for me. I was even, trying to play myself by that time, but I never heard it on stage. I never saw the suits. I never heard the three-part harmonies coming out of the speakers. And it just blew me away, And I was in, the next year or something, I was in kindergarten, and I was drawing banjos and everything, and it was just, that's what I wanted to do. And I think when I was a little kid, I just wanted to be just like my dad. I told you about how I saw him. People would just stand around and listen to him pick, and just there was so much joy that he brought to the little community there. And man, I wanted to do that too, And if he wore a ball cap, I wore a ball cap, and he wore Levi's, I wore Levi's, and he played guitar, and that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be just like my dad.
When did you first figure out that you may have like an aptitude for it? Like I think that oftentimes in this music, in my case, in like Irish music and in Newfoundland music, the music that I play, I wasn't very good at a lot of other things. And when I sort of realized that I seem to be able to pick this up, it was a profound thing for me. It gave me a lot of confidence. I heard you talk about how when you were in school, you didn't feel like you were that good at a lot of things. But music was something you knew you could rely on. When did you start to realize that maybe you had an aptitude for it?
I mean, there's a big moment that sticks out to me. When I was about 6 years old, I was trying to learn Beaumont Rag. And we would play it, and we would go when I got to the B part, I screwed it up every time. And right in the middle of the song, I just told my dad, stop, stop, stop. And I just go, you play it, and I'll just listen. And so I listened to him. And instead of going A, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, and counting and trying to, I listened to what he was doing instead of trying to count. And he was going, da 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 diddle 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 da da ba da da diddle diddle da diddle da da ba da diddle da diddle da da, and then the B part, dun diddle 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 da, and I listened to the things. And so now that I had the melody in my ear, I tried to play the chords again, and my fingers went to the right spot. And he just started laughing and reached over and grabbed my little hand with my pick in it, and just was so proud in that moment. And I was too, because I made my dad proud. And he even called my grandma, made her listen on the phone. Listen to this kid, he's getting good. And my dad was proud of me in that moment. So that was another big, big moment for me, Just.
What did that mean to you in that moment?
Well, I thought I was like magic or something, because I knew what chord was coming next. I just, I didn't know it back then, but my dad would use, seventh chords and stuff, and he's playing a G chord, and then he plays G7, and then I'm like, C? Holy crap, how'd I know that? And I just thought I was good or something. I thought I was like magic. I can play any song, And I really, a lot of these songs, they have a similar kind of thing. There's a language here, and I started to hear that, and I started to just be able to tell kind of where the chord was. I would guess a lot of the times playing a song maybe that has a 6 minor in it or something, and I would surprise myself so much, and when I hit the right chord, and I didn't really know how I knew it, but I just listened, you know. And like I said, I played rhythm for quite a few years before I tried to pick anything fancy, and that just gave me a chance to just listen to the vocals and the leads and how the music would lead itself into the next chords and stuff, you know.
You talk a lot about sort of when you got to be a little older and you started playing like more prog metal and a little bit more heavier music. Before that, I wanted to ask you about like an early gig. Can you tell me about the Maple River Strummers?
Yeah.
Who were the Maple River Strummers?
Well, that was at a VFW hall back in the day. It was right down the road from where we lived on the Maple River there. And it was just a group of, you know, kind of older folks, especially to me. I was like 7 or something at the time. But it was like the bingo crowd, you know?
The bingo crowd.
It was all kind of the old folks that would show up with their hammer dulcimers and their music stands, and they'd sing Johnny Cash songs and Hank Williams and stuff like that. And my dad would go down there and just blow them out of the water, you know. Every once, just for fun, I think. But yeah, it was, you know, and all those old ladies down there loved me, you know. I had to, when I first started, I had to stand on a chair to get up to the mic. And I went up to the mic and I said, "Are we getting paid for this, for crying out loud?" And everybody just lost it, you know. And
What were you singing?
oh, I mean, at that time, I was singing Folsom Prison Blues.
Okay. Right on.
Like, way high.
When I was just a baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got attention there, man. Like the story I heard is that they offered you a gig. Someone offered you $200.
Right.
When you were a kid.
It was at the Hunting and Fishing Club at Bertha Brock Park up there in Ionia. I guess it's just a bunch of outdoorsmen that got some money together and they wanted to have some bluegrass music. So, yeah, I think that was my first gig. Paid $200 and I only saw about maybe 50 of it.
That's still how it goes in the music industry, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got used to it then.
You learned about commissions.
Yeah.
I actually went on MySpace and listened to Once Darkened Skies.
Golly.
Your junior high
Still
school.
on there?
Channel. Yeah. You can get it taken down pretty quickly if you want, but it's pretty good.
I hope they're already on it.
I went looking for A Day of Moments, which is another band you were in, prog metal. I can't get, there's a lot about you online, but I can't get a sense of what brought you back to bluegrass. You touched on it there, that it was some sort of like, I had this realization that this is the music that I love, but what was it that brought you back to bluegrass when you were playing all this different music?
I mean, there was an exact moment that I had like this total realization. And my life at the time was pretty hectic. Again, I was only 15, but I was already not living at home. My parents were struggling with addiction. I was just couch surfing, and I would go over there sometimes because my parents' house became this lawless area where we could do whatever we wanted because, like, there's drugs everywhere. What are they going to do, call the cops, you know? So I would bring friends over there, a bunch of minors, and we'd drink and party and stuff, and I'd go over there and just hang out. And there was one time where I was over there, and my mom was sleeping, and after a bender, you know, she'd sleep for a couple days. So I went in her room and took her keys one time. She had this 72 Chevelle with a 350, 4-door. And we lived out in the country, and I got drunk one afternoon just by myself. That's how bored I was. Nothing to do in this town except drink or something. And so I was drinking, and I grabbed her keys, and I stole this car, and I went down Hayes Road. And I hit the gas, and there's just cornfields on either side. And I remember that corn just turned into a blur. And I was just seeing what that old thing could do. And there was a tape hanging out of the deck, and I pushed it in, and I decided to see what my mom was listening to. And Rank Stranger came on. And I started slowing down that old car, and I just eventually pulled over, and kind of was just like, that music hit me so hard in that moment, because my life felt like just going down the drain, and I was kind of playing in these heavy metal bands and stuff, and they kept breaking up, and, you know, I couldn't keep a band together, you know. And so when that song hit me, it really hit me. And in that moment, I'm just like, what am I doing?
What was it? I mean, was it the song?
It was deja vu. It was my childhood. It was, like I said, my life was a mess, and it hit me. It gave me the sunshine that I had before when I was a little kid, when everything was good. We were just picking by the creek, and if anything, it was a couple beers and a couple joints. It wasn't all hard stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And it was good times. We had food in the cupboards, you know. We had everything we needed. It was, you know, and so when that music hit me, it brought me back there to when everything was good. Like I said, before I knew anything bad about the world, you know. And I just got totally obsessed with it again. And I didn't even have an acoustic guitar at the time. My friend Zach had like this really crappy Ibanez guitar that he got from Goodwill or something. And I pretty much borrowed it from him, and I started going back over to my dad's house. How do you play Salt Creek? You know, because I could, like I said, I played rhythm, and when I first started trying to play lead, I was doing more Hendrix, electric guitar, blues kind of stuff,
Yeah.
classic rock.
Yeah.
I never picked fiddle tunes or anything. I just played rhythm. So when I was 15 or so, 16, and got back into it real heavy, I started going back over to the house, and man, how do you play Salt Creek? And I didn't understand that my dad was playing the melody. I was trying to just play these blues licks over the chords, and it just was not working. How come it sounds so cool when you play it, and when I play it, it sounds like junk? You know, because I was trying to just play like licks, and he was playing down diddle down diddle 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 down diddle down diddle down diddle diddle down. He was playing the melody.
Yeah.
Once again, the melody.
Yeah. It's a profound thing, man. I remember taking a banjo lesson and someone said, yeah, it's fine, man, but Earl played the song. Like, Earl played the song first,
Yeah.
you know? And this is also explaining to me the Doc Watson thing, like why you may have gravitated to Doc Watson as a musician, because that was someone who played, I mean, he was a brilliant musician and one of the greatest of all time, but melody-based are the fiddle tunes that he was playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was definitely where I started, you know, when I tried to go back and check stuff out and start picking some leads on stuff. One of the first tunes I learned was Nothing to It. From there, yeah, I just kept going.
I heard you used to practice, you loved Doc so much that you used to practice with your eyes closed.
Probably, yeah, I mean.
Is that true?
I don't know where you heard that, but I'm sure, you know, there's some truth to that. I still play with my eyes closed all the time.
That's what I got. Like, I was looking at an old interview of you, and you were talking about that. But I don't know. I'm just, you know. You can't believe everything you read on the internet, Billy. I'll tell you that much.
Yes, you can.
You meet.
It's all true.
That's all I want to hear. That's my journalism done. As a naive Canadian right there. You meet Don Julian, who's sort of this legendary mandolin player. Played a lot of jazz. He talks about meeting you at this coffee shop because he heard there was this sort of guitar phenom kid there. When you were when he saw you at the coffee shop, were you playing bluegrass? Were you already back to playing it?
Yeah. I graduated, I squeaked through high school out of an alternative education thing and a year late. And I finally did get a little diploma though. And then after that, I was, well, what am I going to do? I need to get the heck out of this town because it just felt like it was going to drag me down into a lot of darkness. So a friend of mine said, hey, I got an apartment up here and I need a roommate in Traverse City. And I moved up there and all of a sudden it's Technicolor. It was like beaches and the Great Lakes and there's little coffee shops and microbreweries and art galleries and people were like into art and stuff up there and it was just this whole different scene. And I moved up there and I worked at a hotel for a little bit and one day I got a call from this fella just on my phone randomly. Hello? Hey, this is Kurt Westy. I heard you moved up here and I'm a mandolin player. I'd like to, you know, pick with you. Sweet, you know. I was hoping I was going to meet somebody to pick with up here. So I went over and I met this fella named Paul Kirchner. And he's kind of a mainstay around northern Michigan. He's a banjo picker. He's been around a lot of the Michigan festivals for a lot of years. started a band up there called Full Chord. And they're still going. You know, Todd Kirchner's on bass. Those are my buddies from back home. But yeah, I met Paul, and then we kind of started a little thing called M23 Strings, and that's what we were picking on some stuff up there and starting to learn how the vocal harmonies work. You know, I learned a lot from Paul about dynamics, about the harmonies, and about how these instruments really work together, and picking with them was good. And yeah, we were at that gig at the little coffee house there, and in walks Don Julin, who I had seen in YouTube videos playing with David Grisman. So I was like, this guy plays with Dog, man, he must be good. And he said, well, we should pick. So we got together and picked. And
It was around the time Doc died, right? Like Doc had died, and you guys got together and listened to a lot of LPs of his. That feels like a formative moment.
yeah, I remember. I saw Doc in 2010, and a couple years later he died. And it was also around the time that Thiele and Michael Daves did that thing.
Sleep with One Eye Open.
Yeah, and we were listening to that a bunch. That was our whole, we wanted to do that. We wanted to just the two of us, guitar and mandolin, step up to a large diaphragm condenser and just play bluegrass tunes with teeth, you know, and just kind of really get after it. And we were inspired by that Thiele and Dave's thing for sure when we first started.
So I guess what I'm trying to map out here in my own mind is when I read interviews with you from around then, or even when I read Don talking about you then, he would say things like, you know, Billy was this incredible phenom, Billy was this unbelievable musician, and, I mean, how do I put this? Like, we were just doing gigs, and he was just, you know, not working at the hotel, like you were working at a hostel or a hotel or something like that, and he was just like happy to not be there. But at some point, something switches, and you get a drive in you about wanting to make music and a career for yourself, wanting to do something bigger with it. And I've been searching for when that happened. One of the things I read was that you guys went to IBMA and went to Folk Alliance, and you started, even like at IBMA, started seeing like, okay, this is a world I can be in, this is a business, this is something.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I mean, it all goes way back to even elementary school, you know, looking at Jimi Hendrix records and watching the Woodstock performance and learning about the Beatles and Led Zeppelin. And, you know, by the time I was in 6th grade, I was walking around with a Janis Joplin book in my back pocket, and I had long hair and circle glasses and peace sign patches, and I looked like I just got back from Nam or something, you know? And I was in 6th, my teachers were like, who the heck is this kid, you know? And so no, I think back then, you know, I was learning a lot. I would read books about people like Janis Joplin or Kurt Cobain or, you know, just Bob Marley, or I would read about these larger than life cats, you know, and I had this dream of like being one of those people one day. You know, I'm like, I'm going to be a rock star one day. And then, you know, that was, like I said, middle school or elementary school. And by the time I get to middle school and I'm sitting around playing a guitar or something, and it just didn't, the town that I was in, it seemed like the furthest possible reality to make it in music. Are you kidding me? Like, even my teachers were like, yeah, I mean, that's cool, but you ever thought about, I don't know, maybe you should be a journalist or something?
Yeah, don't do that, man, don't do that.
I'm like,
yeah.
well, you know, because it was maybe some, you know,
Yeah,
I definitely wasn't going to be anything that I had to do math for.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a really weird thing, you know, all the grown-ups around me being like, yeah, and I'm going to be the pitcher for the Detroit Tigers, you know. And it's like, even my like principal at school, I remember one time at lunch, I was sitting there playing the banjo, trying to learn how to play Old Slewfoot, just like Jim and Jesse, and, you know, and he walked up and said that. Yeah, what are you going to do when you get out of school? You know, you ever thought about, I don't know, be a journalist or something? I'm sitting there with a banjo in my hand going, what? He's like, I don't know if that's a good call. You know, so it just didn't seem like a possibility. And I also had failed all through high school. I barely squeaked by. Like I said, I cheated to get through, you know. And I just knew I was never going to go to college. I just didn't like school. And I just thought I was going to never amount to anything, honestly. if it wasn't with music. I didn't have any other skills. I was,
Yeah.
you know, I had nothing else to fall on if I don't make it with this guitar. And also back then it was like, but you're not going to make it with this guitar, so might as well just become an alcoholic or end up in prison or addicted to drugs like all my friends or something, you know. But then when I moved up to Traverse City, like I said, it was Technicolor. I did a couple open mic nights up there, and I played Black Mountain Rag, and I got a standing ovation. And I was like, you never heard Doc before? You know? And then everybody started losing their mind for this flat picking stuff. And I was going, man, there might be something here. You know, maybe I could actually do this. And it was Traverse City, man. It was the people up there that encouraged me and convinced me that I could actually make a go of it. And then Don Julian, who has, you know, been making a living off music since the 80s, he was like, yeah, man, you might, like, you're not going to be Jimi Hendrix, but you could do a workshop on Tuesday. We could play at the library in the basement for tips on Wednesday. Thursday, we'll play at the coffee house. We got a private concert on Friday. And Saturday, they booked us at a festival. So next thing I know, like, you know, he was like, you can be a working musician. And I was like, sick, you know, I don't have to like scrub toilets and clean up people's puke. Like, I'm down, you know. And so yeah, that's when I realized it was like that dream of when I was in middle school of like being a guitar god or something. It was like, that's not going to happen, dude. But you don't have to work at the hotel. You can be a working musician.
There is clearly a point, though, where it goes stratospheric, you know, like, is it when you moved to Nashville? When I say it goes stratospheric, it just feels to me, and I could be wrong, and I only just met you 20 minutes ago, but it just feels to me that there's a moment where you get really serious about it.
I think when Don and I split ways.
You moved to Nashville then?
Yeah, we were working really hard. And I love him, and I got all the, you know, he taught me a lot. I learned a lot from him. But at the time, we just kind of stopped getting along. You know, it happens.
Yeah, it happens.
And it just got gnarly to where it was like we just weren't even playing. We were playing music against each other.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, I would like take a break, and he would just like go have a drink of his beer or something. Like, there's only two of us up here, man. Like, you know, like, come on. No, and I was doing the same stuff too. I was being a jerk to him as well, so it's not like,
yeah.
But yeah, we just stopped getting along, and then it was spite. I don't know. I just had this burning, I'll show you, you know, kind of thing. Like, I'm gonna take this thing to the stratosphere, and nothing's gonna stop me. And I still had that, and it's also, I don't want to go back to where I was, to the poverty and the substance abuse and the, you know, waking up in the morning, sleeping in a winter coat, sleeping with a dog that has fleas, and going across the house and getting in a shower and drying off with a towel that smells like mildew, you know, and not having hot water anyways or electricity or, you know, I didn't want to go back to that. And I still don't. I'm running from that. I'm not running towards success. I'm running away from poverty.
Yeah. Your eye is not on the gold chalice. Your eye is not on the Grammy. Your eye is not on the aspiration.
My eye is like, sometimes I pour myself a bowl of cereal and I almost cry because it's there.
Yeah. Just a couple of sort of lesson-y things I want to get to before we go. I've never really got the full story on when you started incorporating the more expanded jamming into the music. I got a couple of stories around it. I knew that Green Sky Bluegrass was really influential to you. Mm-hmm. I know in 2011, I'm a nerd, Billy, you watched a video of String Cheese Incident at Red Rocks, and that was meaningful to you?
Well, it tripped me out, you know. My whole life that's the reason I got into heavy metal and stuff in the first place. I just wanted to play music with people that were my age. My whole life I had grown up playing with my dad and his older friends, playing bluegrass and stuff, and by the time I got into middle school, it's not that I was embarrassed about it or anything. I didn't go around telling everybody I played bluegrass because it was just something I did with my dad and his friends, you know. And I had this urge to play music with people that were my age, that were into similar stuff, you know, skateboarding and video games and whatever was going on at the time, you know. And so, yeah, it was a similar thing even then, up in Traverse City, when I first heard of, I grew up on Bill Monroe and the Osborne brothers and Larry Sparks and them and Jimmy Martin and stuff, and I never had any idea that Leftover Salmon or Green Sky Bluegrass or Infamous String Dusters or any of these bands that were kind of more on this. I had no idea about this like hippie barefoot scene. I had no idea about it. And when I moved up to Traverse City and I started hearing that stuff, I hated it. I mean, it was like, that guy's just going on the fiddle, and this guy's doing this on the dobro, and it's like, that's not how you do that, man.
You were like a traditionalist.
I was a total purist, and I was used to Kenny Baker, and I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Chick, 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 yeah.
Well, yeah. Now,
So what happens? What happens that your mind gets open and you look at that and go, a lot of people stay there forever and no shame to them. What happens that your mind gets open and goes like, that's cool, not only that's cool, I kind of want to do it.
well, like you mentioned, I saw that video, and it was kind of like,
It was a string cheese incident live or
it was String Cheese Incident, and they were playing a song called Black Clouds. And I saw Bill Nershi on stage, flat picking guitar. And then I saw the audience. And I saw Bill flat picking, and I saw this huge audience of 10,000 people wearing tie-dye, spinning and dancing. They're all young and like, they look just like me and my friends. And I just go, like, what is going on here? This is kind of like bluegrass, but there's a huge crowd. So yeah, I was just like, huh. And then again, I started kind of going down that rabbit hole. There were bands that I said, like, at first, when I first heard it, I didn't like it. I didn't like John Hartford when I first heard it. There's so many times where my favorite artists and my favorite bands, it takes a second to acquire. When I first heard Hartford, I just was like, this is just kind of goofy, and I don't really know. You know what I mean? It's John Hartford. Are you kidding me? But it just took me a second. Same thing with that heavy metal stuff. I hated it at first.
Yeah.
But then eventually I got used to it. Next thing you know, I'm in a band, And but yeah, I started hearing this stuff, and the same thing. I didn't understand the Grateful Dead. It sounded like 5 people playing 5 different songs all at the same time. And so I just didn't get it. I didn't understand why do you have to play a song for 30 minutes and not do anything? And so I was playing gigs, and I got booked on a couple gigs with Green Sky Bluegrass, and they had invited me up to play with them. And that's when, we played a song. I remember I did My Rose of Old Kentucky with them. And then they had me on another song, which was Stop That Train, which is, I think, a Bob Marley thing. And in that, I think they were like, yeah, just take it for a while. And I'm like, huh? Yeah, we'll see what happens when we get up there. See you out there. All right, see you, champ. Like, what do you mean? So I get out there, and I kind of just get on this big 1 chord, and we're vamping. And next thing you know, I play a little something, and then Anders goes something back to me. I was like, and then we start having this conversation. I'm like, huh, this is kind of fun. Usually I have to do it right in these 4 bars. And I can only play the melody. So I was like, well, that was kind of fun. And then, this is gradual over time,
Yeah.
There was a couple psychedelic experiences. There were, like, while camping or whatever, and I'd laying on the ground listening to Grateful Dead. And I'm going, wait, I get it. They're all just playing all this stuff, and then Jerry Garcia's going, bing. And then everything's playing and swirling like this big thing, and Jerry's going, bing. And I'm like, oh, he's the lighthouse. I understand this music now. But really, Jerry coming from a bluegrass kind of background too, and it's like bluegrass or it's like jazz where the instruments talk to each other. And I just acquired a taste for it. I went from not understanding these big, long, improvisational movements. The same thing would happen if I heard bebop or jazz or listened to Coltrane or it's over my head, man. I just didn't get it. It just sounds like blah, 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 blah. I have no idea what the heck's going on, you know. But after kind of getting more into improvisational music and understanding, oh well, you know, these guys are blowing over these changes, and just realizing how incredible it is, and then you acquire a taste for it, and you know, it's like I said, a lot of my favorite music, at first I'm like, what the heck is this, you know?
But I think that goes for the audience too. Like, I don't even know if I have a question around this. But one thing I find really interesting about you, and I'm like doing my best not to talk about any other bands or like you guys versus any other bands. I'm not going to do it. But it's not all jamming. And what I find really interesting is that you have arenas, like arenas full of people.
Oh man.
And we are kind of told in the music and that's not possible to play like a 3.5-minute bluegrass song, to play I'm on my way back to the old home, to play John Deere Tractor, that you would have to do something different to it, that you'd have to turn it into a different groove, that you'd have to make it 25 minutes. But you do just sometimes just play the song, and I think the thing that I love the most about you, in addition to your musicianship and all the stuff I love about you, but like, I just love that you're showing the value and beauty of this music as it is to an audience that may have walked in not knowing it, and you're kind of going, this is good enough. This is good enough for 30,000 people. You know, this is good enough, you know? There's power in this music.
It's better than good enough. I mean, it's...
But I think we can be
And yeah,
insecure.
there's
People have been
nothing-
insecure. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
There's
know.
nothing I love more than going on stage at Lollapalooza right before Metallica or something and seeing all these, or opening for Post Malone and seeing all these teeny boppers in the crowd and just cramming Robin Made a Nest on Daddy's Grave down their throat.
Why? Why is that why you love it?
Because, man, it just feels so good. I don't know. It's like, do I remember you loving my prayers and just crash that downbeat in like a big, you know, festival or some big place where we're the only bluegrass band there a lot of the times, and I'm so proud of that, you know.
All right, I got some sort of lesson-y questions before we go, and you've been really generous. And last night you played at the Ryman, and Sam Bush got up with you and Brian. I heard a great story about that you were playing with Sam somewhere, and you learned a lesson about dedication to the moment and to the music. Can you set up that moment? 'Cause I think it'd be something people would enjoy hearing and maybe learn from.
Yeah, it was one of the moments that, again, kind of changed how I play when I go on stage. I remember I was young, I was early 20s, and I was still drinking, and we were on stage down there at Bean Blossom or at the John Hartford Memorial Festival there, and there was about 20 people on stage or something. We're playing Rollin' in My Sweet Baby's Arms, and we're, you know, Sam Bush is back there, everybody's up there. I went to the mic and I took my little break and I circled around to the back and I'm standing there by the back wall. And I figure, well, I ain't even near a microphone, so nobody can hear me anyways. So I reach over and I take a drink of my beer. And right as soon as I take a drink of my beer, I look over and there's Sam Bush standing right next to me. He's not near a microphone. He's at the back of the wall. He's already took his solo. But he has his eyes closed and he's playing that chop for the sake of the song. It's like, hey, we're playing a song here, man. You know, you're going to just stop in the middle of the song and take a drink of your beer? Don't you care about the song enough to just at least wait till it's over? And it was just like, I felt like such a kid, you know, such a dumb kid, you know, and I was like, wow, like, it doesn't matter. Sam's playing for the song, man. He's in it. He's fully there. He's committed. And that was a big lesson for me. Like I said, it made me feel like I was like, whoa, okay, like, when you start a song, finish it.
I heard that about Doc Watson too, that like he wouldn't half play, like he wouldn't begin. If he was going to play something, he would play to
I've
the very
heard that
end.
too, yeah, finish that song, yeah.
Bluegrass has always been a fan-based culture. People feel really close to the musicians. You would see them at the merch table. You would pick with them in the parking lot. They would show up.
Come shaking howdy.
But it feels different with you, the level of loyalty your fans have towards you, the sense of community. It's being compared to the Grateful Dead. It's being compared to Fish. How intentional was that? I mean, I've heard stories about people in line in the cold, and you'd come out and serve them hot chocolate. How intentional was that? Are there lessons for bluegrass musicians in the way that you've cultivated fans around the music?
Well, I appreciate my fans a hell of a lot, and if I can bring them some hot chocolate, of course I will. You know, but...
You know what I mean? Like,
well, the one thing that I thought when you just said that was maybe not as much about the fans and more about, like, I noticed, one thing I did notice about bluegrass coming up, and, you know, I also listen to a lot of other music and stuff too, and I'm not like tapped into it, but I see what's going on in the hip-hop world and stuff like that, and maybe not so much anymore because we're getting better as a whole, but, you know, I just remember 10 years ago or so, and I'd see a festival flyer come out, you know, and it looks like an elementary school newsletter. And then you look at some hip-hop artist or something, and they've got they filmed a movie to promote their show. And it's on, you know, it's like edited, and it's all cool looking, and it's like, man, maybe we should try to do some of that, you know. I paid attention to what other genres were doing to promote themselves too, and just try to pay attention, you know. It's like, how are these hip-hop artists getting so big? You know, I mean, honestly, even right now, there's so many big rap artists that I play bigger shows than them. They have so much more money than me, though. I don't know how. Like,
but you're looking around and going, what can I take from other ways of getting the music out there that I might be able to apply to this music that I love so much? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, like maybe like the social media thing, you know, I look more at like what are, you know, rappers doing, or what are these cats doing, or the rock and roll folks, or, you know, what are these cats doing, or, you know, for, like, from the jam band community, like, I won't repeat a song for like multiple nights, you know. We don't play anything that we played the last 2 nights, so if you see us for 3 nights, you're not going to hear a single song repeated, and that's like something that I learned from, you know, the Dead and Fish and the jam band community, and going out opening with Green Sky Bluegrass and stuff, opening for them and stuff, you know. And yeah, it's like, you know, if I go sit in somewhere, I mean, I've always just, every day is a lesson. If throughout my whole career, if some artist invites me up on stage to sing a song and I spend time to learn that song, I'm going to play that song in my show, you know? Like, I'm going to do it, you know? It's like I take things that I've learned along the way, and I just keep doing that, you know?
How do you feel about bluegrass in 2025? How do you feel about the state of it?
I think it's doing pretty dang good. I think it's cool. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think we're just at a point where there's a lot of stuff happening, you know? There's a lot of new bands coming out that are killing it and that are kind of, you know, like I see like Mountain Grass Unit and Shadow Grass and these bands that are kind of coming up, and they're just killer pickers, man, and I love it. I'm so just glad to be a part of it. Can't believe I'm already like the old guy, but.
You gave great advice, I think, to some of the folks behind IBMA and some of the folks within the bluegrass community about being more inclusive, about making sure that, you know, everyone's welcome at the table. I'm thinking about a lot of people I saw in the lobby this morning, you know, with fiddle cases on their back and guitars in their hands. And I was talking to someone outside, you know, having a smoke, and it was their first ever IBMA, and they were definitely too young to be smoking, and we were having a grand old chat, you know. You were once that kid at IBMA with a guitar case. What would you tell those folks here in that same spot, starting out here at IBMA, you know, wanting to do something?
Yeah, I mean, I remember my first time here, I got frisked by police out right out front of the Marriott down there in Raleigh.
Really?
I mean, I came there trying to get gigs, and here I am with my hands up against the damn, you know, everybody's looking at me, filming and stuff.
You were like, this isn't a showcase?
That was my first time at IBMA. I was
Oh,
like,
good.
oh, God. You should have seen Robert Greer change his costume in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
He took his shirt and hat off. He looked like some Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force or something, man. He was like, I was the only one left. All my friends scrammed. I'm sitting there.
Welcome to IBMA.
Yeah, no, I don't know. And the first time I came here, we didn't have any showcases. I think we had one. My good friend Dustin Boyd hooked it up to play for Craig out at Telluride and stuff, and those cats. And that's all we did. We had one little thing. Otherwise, me and Don, what we did is we just got a booth right at the showroom thing where all the guitar companies are and shit. We got one of those, and we handed out cards and CDs and everything, you know.
So what's the advice? What's the advice to the first-time IBMAer? Is it that? Is it be dogged? Is it be...
I don't know. I mean, just watch out for cops.
You know what? Solid advice regardless of the industry, Billy, really.
Yeah, I don't know. Get out there, man. Do some picking. Get into the rooms. Check some stuff out. That's what it's about. It's about the picking. I mean, it's about getting up into them hotel rooms and getting into some late night jams and starting off fast and staying there all night and ending up on the slower songs. I always noticed that about nights of picking. You know, you start off and everybody wants to rip these tunes, and then by the end of it, we're bringing Mary home, you know?
Last thing, you said bluegrass saved your life.
Yeah, for sure. Music in general did. As I mentioned earlier, it's always been a coping mechanism and survival tactic, and it's the only thing I got. I don't have any others, I don't have any other skills. I mean, I know how to make a bed from working at the hotel. So I guess I could go back to working at the hotel if this thing don't turn out, but.
I was talking to so many people who, on the way in here, who were telling me that they just kind of wanted to thank you, people who have been in the music industry for a long time and bluegrass for a long time. And they just wanted to thank you for bringing so much attention to the music.
I don't know. Thank you. Thank you so much, you know, and I really appreciate that. But I don't really see myself as like that way. Maybe it's just because I'm me, but I just, you know, there's so many great bands out there that are doing amazing things. And I've always just wanted to be a part of a community, you know, and I'm so grateful for, you know, I'm stoked to see, like I said, all my peers and people that I grew up picking with out there on big stages working, doing good work, you know. And yeah, it's my honor and duty to wave that flag as high and wide as I can. Like I said, that's my whole purpose, I think, in life, you know. It's like I'm a father now. That's kind of taken the first spot.
Yeah.
But behind that, I'm an ambassador of this music, and until I had my son.
I got a lot of admiration for you. I know a lot of people in the room have a lot of admiration for you too, and I mean that. Thanks so much for your time today, and thanks so much for the keynote address, and thanks for everything, man.
Thank you guys, man. Thank you for having me.
Billy Strings, everybody.
All right, I'll see you at Barrel House Ballroom for the kickoff of the Bluegrass Rambles with Poe Ramblin' Boys and Friends. See y'all over there.